welcome back to the Business and Bliss podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Kay, here with the one and only Jen Conkey.
Hi, everybody.
And today we have an amazing guest for you, special guest, Lizzy Renee Carlin. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello,
Thank
hello.
you for having me.
You bet, you bet. So, Lizzy, I'm going to turn it over to you to just introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to hop in to get some great wisdom and content out to our listeners. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. Well, my name is Lizzy Renee, and I guess I'm treading on becoming a serial entrepreneur. My family was in business there like my whole life growing up, and so I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. My husband and I have a pickup and delivery laundry business that we've been in business for about 4 years and started the pickup and delivery 2 years ago. And we offer other people bliss by not being chained to their laundry room on the weekends and nights. So we process right now 20,000 pounds of laundry a month. So luckily I don't do it. I hate laundry, so I send mine. That's how I get some of my bliss. And I've also gotten into a kind of a wellness space over the last, a little bit about me. I am an older mom. I am 45 years old with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. I also have a 14-year-old, but he exhausts me in a very different way than the little ones. So for me, trying to find natural solutions, my biggest fear in life is not being here when my children need me the most in their 20s and 30s. Like I need to live a very long life, a long, healthy life. And I've been trying to find different ways to improve my quality of life, and my health so that I can be here for the long haul. Cause I have a fear of leaving my kids behind. It's sad but true, but I am older. So I ended up having really bad sciatica pains about a year ago, and I would go to pick up my 20-pound non-walking daughter. She was a late walker, and I would nearly drop her on the ground because the shooting pain would go down my leg, and right as I'm picking her up, and I'm like, okay, this isn't okay. So I started the chiropractic, the physical therapy, doing anything I could to avoid going to the doctor's office because our medical system thrives on prescribing meds. It's just kind of the way things are these days. And so my personal opinion on medicine is I want modern medicine. If my eyeball's hanging out of my socket, I'll be in the emergency room. If I break an arm, if I have cancer, I'm going to the doctor. But if I can find other things or other ways to approach my wellness, without using medication and being more natural and keeping those toxins out of our body, so our livers aren't overtaxed with the long life I plan to live, I try other options first. So chiropractic, physical therapy, essential oils were doing nothing for the sciatica. I was in a lot of pain. My poor husband was dealing with a not so happy wife trying to take care of her kids. Our kids, and it was really rough. And my 14-year-old has pretty bad ADHD, and I had been researching CBD oil for him, not thinking about using it for myself. And I ended up sitting, having lunch with a friend one day, and the concept of CBD for my sciatica came up, and I'm like, well, geez, I need to look into this, like, for myself. And in 8 days, the pain was completely gone. It was, for me, completely life-changing. I went from in a lot of pain, struggling to feel like I can keep up with my kids and take care of them, to completely pain-free. In fact, I ended up getting a ton of energy. The CBD gives me energy. And I realized, with it being such a new industry and such a new product, that I really wanted to teach people about it. There's such a negative stigma around cannabis. They did it to us in the 70s and 80s. It's the gateway drug, all that kind of stuff, that I decided that my mission is to help other people, responsible moms, working people that have jobs. We're not just, potheads off at the dispensary, that can use cannabis product.
Speak for yourself, okay? I'm just kidding.
So I just felt like there's really a need for us to educate people on the health benefits of cannabis, and for people to really understand the difference between hemp-based CBD and marijuana hemp-based CBD, same species, very different products, very different effects. My little saying is get all the benefits without the high. And it's been life-changing for my husband and I and many, many, many people that I've helped. So
Liz, I have to cut you off because now I have to know, and I'm sure our listeners are already going to wonder, what is the difference between hemp-based and marijuana-based CBD? What's the difference?
So the actual genus and species is exactly the same. It's cannabis sativa. The difference is the way they're cultivated, it's like they're different strains. So marijuana is cultivated for the THC, and it has much higher THC content in the plant. So it's got between 5% and 30% THC in your marijuana plants. And they're grown usually indoors. They very controlled environment with the temperature, the humidity, all that kind of stuff. They're usually done indoors, and they're working to the farmers to get those buds and those flowers as big as possible. And that's the part that they use in marijuana. Now with CBD that comes from the marijuana plant, it is going to naturally have higher amounts of THC in it. Where hemp, on the other hand, even though it's the same species, it actually looks very different. It's taller in stature. It's grown outside. They just want to have it grown with as much yield as possible. And the buds and the flowers are actually much smaller. The natural amount of THC that's found in hemp is 0.3%. So it's very, very, very different. The brand I use actually is 0.00%. It has a very trace amount of THC because some THC is actually good to activate your endocannabinoid system. That's our body actually has a system that makes CBD. And so really the difference is the amount of THC in the product and how it's grown, and it does look a little different.
And so why would I've been recently reading about the endocannabinoid, I can say that, system
10 times fast.
So can you explain further, because I know when you and I talked on the phone, you talked about, if people are doing drug tests, for new jobs and things like that, they may want to address their pain but not, be kind of viewed or not able to get the job or things like that. So can you talk about why you would want to activate your endocannabinoid system versus not?
Okay, so our endocannabinoid system, I think of it as you have on all of the organs in our body have these receptors, and I think of them as little Pac-Mans that are gobbling up the CBD. And on top of it, they're on a tightrope because they need to be in balance in order to function properly. So as they take the CBD, they're able to be in balance, and that's what keeps our body in balance. So when our bodies make enough CBD, we don't have issues. We don't have anxiety, we don't have depression, we don't have, skin issues, we don't, all of these other things that can happen, we're not having because our bodies are unbalanced. And it's when our bodies don't have enough CBD made naturally that we end up having problems, because that little Pac-Man that's sitting on the organ isn't getting what it needs. It pulls the CBD, uses it, and it's able to balance on the tightrope. And when it doesn't have enough, he can't balance. Maybe he falls off and we have worse problems. So it's that ability. And when it comes to the CBD, back to the question Jen asked, CBD or hemp plants are higher in CBD content than marijuana plants. So in your hemp plant, you have lots of different types of CBD. There's over 100 different types of cannabinoids. CBD, the term, it's confusing because the term CBD, it's it also means cannabidiol, which is one of many, but we use it as a blanket. So people talk about CBD and it gets confusing because CBD is cannabidiol, one of those 100 types of CBDs, and there's all these other kinds that are hopefully in your bottle. If you have good product, they have all of the different cannabinoids in there, and you don't know which one that Pac-Man needs to eat. So with the THC is a type of cannabinoid. You want it in your bottle. You want a small amount of it. And to pass a drug test, if you're so CBD will actually cycle through your body in about a 24-hour period, and it's whatever your body doesn't use is gone. With THC will build up in your system. So people get very concerned about the fact that hemp-based CBD has naturally 0.3% THC in it. So over time, it can build up in your system. Now, the tricky thing is how many nanograms are in your body that could trip a drug test. Theoretically, if you have THC in your system, theoretically, it could trip a test. And it could come out positive. But when you're using a 0.00% product that still has trace amounts in it, that mathematically the chances are pretty low that it would creep up to a point that it would show positive on a drug test. But there is that worry, and people don't want to lose their jobs over it. And you can't tell the difference. THC is THC. It's the same chemical component, so you can't tell the difference. So the problem is that you just don't know how people will build it up in their system. So you do have to be careful. People who are in situations where they are drug tested for work could consider a broad spectrum that have like absolutely no THC. But the problem with that is the product may not work as well, because the THC really helps those Pac-Mans to get primed up and ready to chomp.
You know, I think you just hit on something that it triggered a memory for me. So I know that in Canada, when they started to legalize marijuana, the general public had this huge concern that drunk driving, right? So for drunk driving, we have breathalyzers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I know that I bought a lot of stock in this one company that's making the first marijuana breathalyzer, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if that same company, and they're still testing it and stuff. It has not hit very hard, but for those of you that are interested in looking at that stock ticker, it's BLOZ. But if you look at that company, like I got it for pennies. And then as it climbs, eventually, as you know, it becomes an industry thing where federally it's recognized that you can have marijuana. I imagine once it's in the States and it gets legalized here, we're going to want that breathalyzer, right? So if you look for companies that are doing that type of testing, and right now they haven't figured it completely out, but they will. And I'm wondering if maybe they'll get to the point where they can do drug testing like that for companies where they can decipher and discern which type of THC or where it's coming from or where it derived, so that they could see if it's a medical need or if it's literally just somebody, you know, smoking a bong load.
Right.
So, and I'm not judging anybody that does that, you know, in a drug-free environment in a workplace, they would want to make sure, okay, is this a medical thing or not? And I know that they're coming out with all kinds of different ways to test it from a breathalyzer perspective. I think that as it gets more and more legal in the country of Canada, they're kind of like the pioneers there. So maybe it'll come here and maybe people won't have so much to worry about. But Liz, when you say that it's 0.3% THC and over time because it accumulates, I mean, how long are we talking? If somebody takes it every day, I mean, could it happen in a couple of weeks, months? I mean, does anybody know yet?
I'm sure. I haven't done the research to find out how like that actually. I don't have the actual answer for you, Jen. I apologize for that.
No, that's okay.
One of the things that I'm actually considering doing, but surprisingly, it's hard to go in for a commercial grade drug test off the street. Like, I just want a drug test. Can I take one? I'm actually planning to take my product and put have it go through a urine test, because what, you know, here I'm like, our product is 0.00%. It's trace amounts. It's a very small amount of THC, but it is in there. And with all of the clients that I have that are interested in trying the product but are scared, I'm like, well, what can I do to help ease their concerns? So when you take the product, your body is a filter, your liver is a filter, and it's going to use it, and only a smaller percent of it's going to come out in your urine. That I plan to go take my product and put it through a urine test that hasn't been processed through my body and see what happens. I feel like if that's the case, that it comes back negative, which is what I'm expecting based on my gut and from everything I have read, I feel like it's such a small amount, but I don't know how many nanograms of THC is in the product. So that's what this will help to tell. And I think that will help. If it's coming up as such a small amount that it's even the raw product is coming up with nothing, then I am assuming that will ease people's concerns. Because really it's such a small amount, but I need to make sure that I'm comfortable telling people a small amount isn't going to be a problem. So that's my goal, that's my entire mission, is to help people feel confident in taking and using CBD that works in their life. And if it comes back that it doesn't, then I go back to, if you can find a broad spectrum product, so let me just cover, there's 3 different types of CBD products that are the most prevalent on the product. One is full spectrum. Full spectrum is by far like the gold standard with CBD. It means every type of cannabinoid is in the bottle. When your Pac-Man is eaten on the CBD that comes by in your body, you don't know which of those 100 your body needs. In 10 years, with all the research, they might know, oh, you have psoriasis, you need CBDA. That's what you need. We don't have that information right now. So, and also having all those other CBD, all it means is you get these great side benefits. So my energy levels are humongously, like I cannot get over how much energy I have taking my CBD. I noticed that if I miss a dose of CBD, which actually I have not taken my CBD yet today, which is, I never miss a dose. I missed it today. I had a crazy morning with a sick child. So if I don't take it before noon, I'm going to be like exhausted by 3 o'clock. I've just noticed my body starts to shut down and I'm tired. With the CBD, I'm able to get stuff done 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. I never was able to do that before with 2 young kids. Right. That's a side benefit. I have no idea which type of CBD my body's using for that, but it's in the bottle. It's full spectrum. It's got everything to pick from. So that's why when you hear people talking about, oh, I've been taking CBD for this and I have energy, or I'm sleeping better, or I'm this, or I'm that, they're getting all these great side benefits. It's because all of this is available to your body. And maybe you didn't realize you had a problem with.
Well, by the way, I want to point out what you're saying. It's the same thing when you take Motrin or Tylenol. Like, it doesn't know, oh, you have a headache, or you have a swollen ankle, or your back hurts, right? It just goes all over the place. But with a Motrin or a Tylenol, it doesn't have positive like side benefits other than numbing the pain, which is a temporary solution. CBD is more reparative and restorative.
It is. It is. So you're supplementing your body.
Really anti-big pharma. So I'll just throw that out there, and I'm cool with it. I mean, in emergencies, I've popped an Advil, of course, but I definitely think that we get more benefit from plant and holistic health.
I agree.
I just wanted to call that out there, because you could, take a CBD supplement for your pain and get positive side effects, or take a Motrin, which is just as blind. And you don't know, by the way, there's also studies on the impacts of Motrin on the liver, and don't even get me started on Tylenol. I'll never give that to my kids if I can avoid it. So I just wanted to call that out for someone who's like kind of on the fence between those 2 schools of thought, that CBD is more reparative and has, like you mentioned, like these other positive side effects.
Right. Yeah. It's basically helping to give your body what it's not producing on its own. So it's like a supplement. It's like, some people describe it like if you're a diabetic and you need insulin, you give yourself insulin because that's what it needs. And with CBD, you're giving yourself what it's not making on its own, and it supplements it. Now, interestingly, the CBD is, they have what's called they've recognized an endocannabinoid deficiency. It's like a clinical diagnosis. And it comes from the fact that we no longer supplement our environment with CBD. In the 30s, when hemp and marijuana were outlawed, they could no longer use it as a crop for our livestock. So we used to get CBD supplemented through the eggs and the milk and the cheese that we ate, because that's what we fed our livestock. And we stopped doing that many years ago. So 80 years later, we're not doing as well because we've gone generations of not having this natural supplement happening in our food.
What do you know? There's an increase in illness and depression and anxiety is at an all-time high.
And children diagnosed with ADHD. Yeah. Right. Speaking of which, Liz, you said that you had a teenage son that struggled with that. I happen to know him. And I also happen to know that my oldest son struggles with that. And you helped me with the CBD oil for him. So talk to some of the mothers and the parents out there that have that struggle, because ADHD, it's real. And I have my own personal belief on why it's happening in the world, because there's just this huge spike. And I believe that generation is just like awakening, and they're using more of their unconscious mind, which, the rest of us are still trying to grab 126 bits of everything around us, and they're able to just grab like 350, and it's overstimulating to them. But talk to us about how CBD can help with ADHD and some of the things.
What I have found in the ADHD world is that the meds that they prescribe, they're triplicate drugs that are, most of them are triplicate drugs that are monitored by the government. Like if you lose your bottle of Vyvanse, which is what my son was on, you can't just go to the pharmacy and buy 3 more pills to get you through the month until they refill it. It's like, it's serious stuff. I don't know what the impacts are on the liver, but I worry because so many kids start medicating their children between ages 5 and 10 up until they're 18, 19, 20 years old. Some people continue on those medications through adulthood. So I view that as a concern on the liver.
Yeah.
Again, if you can, if your child, if you don't have any other options, and people, you got to do what you need to do for your kids. So I'm not trying to knock people who decide to use medication. I know we've used it in the past.
I've had to use it. I feel like I tried everything I could, and now I feel like I have a good idea of how to get them off of it.
Yeah, so it's a struggle for sure. What CBD allows is it's a natural solution. It's something that is naturally found in your body, and that Pac-Man can grab it and help to calm. You have the receptors in your nervous system, and it's an opportunity for the CBD to help calm that mind and to bring down the behaviors. If you go onto any of the ADHD groups on Facebook that are focused on like parents of kids with ADHD, you will find testimony after testimony after testimony of people swearing that their child is a completely different child. And the beautiful thing about it is they're not saying it's changed my child's personality, or my child became a zombie on it, or
which is what some of the drugs do.
Exactly. So what they're saying is my kids' teachers calling me to find out what the heck I did because my child is totally behaving during class. And so those kinds of responses is why I'm so passionate about helping people get over that stigma of your kid isn't going to get high from taking CBD. Like even CBD with a 0.3%, they're not going to get high on it. But I know when I first got started, I was a little nervous of the concept of even myself taking something with THC in it every day. So there is, and I know why it took 8 days instead of 7 for me to be pain-free. When you take a product that has very little THC in it, it takes a little longer for it to work. So I took my first, you got to start slow with CBD. You don't want to just jump to the highest dose. It could upset your stomach if you don't start slow. So that's why I coach my clients on how to get started, how to use it safely, how to gauge your body and get the results. Because a lot of people be like, oh, I tried CBD and it didn't work. Well, either your product wasn't good enough quality, if it wasn't full spectrum, it couldn't have had what it needed in the bottle, or you didn't take enough. It's not like Advil, take 2 and call me in the morning. It's something that's very personal. It depends on your size, like your body type. It depends on the severity of your issues. And those things are really important to make sure you work towards the success. So I took what is 8 milligrams a day for 3 days, and it didn't touch my sciatica. I felt no better, no difference. And the stigma slowed me down. So I threw the bottle aside and I was like, okay, that's fine. I tried it. I'm done. That's what I did in my own head. And then 2 days later, I'm like, oh my God, my leg is just killing me. I can't live with this anymore. And I'm looking at the bottle of CBD, like sitting on the counter, like, okay, why are you being so stupid, Liz? Like, I'm not going to get drug tested and didn't feel high. I just didn't get the benefit I needed. So I doubled down and I took 16 milligrams. And 3 days later, the pain was completely gone. And I had that big knot kind of right on my tush, right on my rump. And after about 6 or 8 weeks, that rump, like that little knot, it went away. And I wasn't getting a massage. I wasn't seeking physical therapy for it. It just slowly addressed that that inflammation, and that's gone now. I don't have that anymore. So what I tell people, and especially people that have children, is that it is an option. You have to just work through it. You have to give it time. You have to play with it. You have to trust the process, and you should get the results. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say every single person it's worked for, but most of the people who use it find the results. And you play with the time of day, you play with how much you're taking. And sometimes people that have chronic pain will take half their dose in the morning and half at night to make sure it's kind of, they're getting it all day long and all night long instead of, right before bed. So I just tell people play with it. And I help walk people through that process to success. I've had many, I've tons and tons of people that have been thrilled to have had these changes in their lives.
Yeah. I think that the biggest problem is instant gratification society, you know. If I take the pill from Big Pharma, it works right away, right? It works now. It works now. And if I run out, I'll just call Uber Eats and they can deliver me a new one. It's like instant gratification world. They don't want to play with it. And
I
then
never
it's like
thought
there's
of
not
that.
enough time, right? There's not enough time to play with it. I gotta go, I gotta get results. So I want to get this pill and go. And so I think that Big Pharma does appeal to the time management piece of it and the results. And it gets the results, but it's a Band-Aid. And so I know that you wrote a book, right? You wrote a book.
Did.
So I want you to tell us, like, how could that book, and it's like 52 tips or something, right? So will that book help address some of these things with people? Like, tell us about your book.
It does. It does. I have to admit, I'm not somebody who has a lot of time to read lots and lots and lots of books. So my goal with this book is something quick and easy, but powerful, jam-packed with really good tips on getting started. So it is a 52 tips book. It covers everything from kind of the difference between hemp and marijuana, and kind of just some general differences in the basics about CBD, and that there is an endocannabinoid system. And I have a really thorough section on shopping for CBD, because quality is such a factor. There are like probably 500-600 different brands of CBD out there. They are not all made equally. A lot of it's the same. They're just buying another brand and slapping their label on the front of it. So all of the shopping tips to make sure that you're getting a good quality product is so important. And then we have tips on using it and all the different types of CBD that you can have. You can eat it. You can take a capsule. You can put sublingual drops. You can put patches on your body. You can use CBD suppositories if you really want to or need to. There's all these different methods, and that's covered in the book, so people can have all the information they need about shopping. There is some information on the legality of it. I kept it somewhat generic just because it's a very early time in the CBD world and the laws are constantly changing. My biggest thing to tell people is, like, if you're traveling, make sure you pay attention where you're traveling to, so that you don't show up with a bottle of CBD that's, even though it's hemp-based, but you're in a country that doesn't allow it. So make sure you know where you're going and that you do your own research based on where you are and where you live and where you're going. And then I also have a section on testimonials, and it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 of the tips are how it's helped people with all these different ailments. And the goal of that is so that people can see themselves in those 15 tips, or their loved ones that are dealing with something, and see that, wow, this can really help. And they are compelling. I have people who've gotten off 2,400 milligrams of ibuprofen a day she was taking. Tell me that isn't hard on your liver. She's down to only taking it as she needs it. And, like here and there, she might need it, but the CBD is managing most of her pain.
Yeah.
So I took my most compelling stories and put them in there just because I've watched it change people's lives. I had somebody that started taking statin, which is a medication for her blood pressure. And 2 weeks into it, she felt terrible. The medication just was like, she felt terrible. She looked horrible. The side effects were just miserable. And so I was talking to her about CBD. And so she's like, okay, let me try that. And she just threw the statin aside, starts taking the CBD, and went back in for her blood test with her doctor, like whatever it was, like 2 or 3 months later. And the doctor's like, oh, your numbers look great. Your blood pressure dropped 32 points. Keep doing what you're doing. And because she's in her 70s, she didn't feel comfortable saying, well, I stopped taking what you gave me. I'm taking CBD instead. Now, I'm encouraging her to share with her doctor that it helped, because I think it helps change the stigma that the medical industry has around it and their lack of knowledge. If he knew that's what was helping her, I think he might open his eyes, and maybe we have a chance to impact our medical community and seeing how wonderful things can happen without all the side effects. So there's lots of stories like that in the book too.
Okay. So I feel like, we've got a pretty good idea that a lot of people might have been wondering, CBD, it comes from THC plants, marijuana, and I'm probably going to get high. And I don't know how many people actually know the difference. I personally didn't realize that there was a hemp plant and a marijuana plant, and that there's hemp-based CBD versus marijuana-based CBD. That you educated me on that today. So now that we all know that this hemp based plant is the one that gives the CBD that can help with all of these things in a medical capacity. How do we find you, Liz? How can people find you if they want some of this?
My website to find me and all my contact information is LizzyRenee.com. That's my website. My e-commerce site is loveatfirstdrop.com. So love, the number 1 ST, loveatfirstdrop.com. And that's where you can actually purchase product. I love when people work through me so that I can coach them, because if somebody goes to my e-commerce site and just buys something, I lose the opportunity to help them get the success with their product. So LizzyRenee.com is a great place to come find me. You can email me. I can help you, kind of select what products will work for you. And I do coach people so that they're successful with the CBD product. And then my book is, I have a pre-sale going on. The book should be out in January, very early next year. I'm just finishing up the editing process and all that kind of finalizing the book stuff. I'm new to this. This is my first book. I'm very excited about it. And my book launch is a pre-sale is LizzyRenee.com/pre-sale. So anyone who's interested in the book, it's going to be priced for the pre-sale, it's going to be $10 plus shipping and handling. My whole goal is to get the information out there so people can be confident, starting to use it, knowing what it is that they need for shopping, and, something fast, because I know me, I'm not going to read a 300, 400 page book on CBD, but 52 tips, I can do that one.
Right.
So it's kind of aimed at the busy mom, busy parent, busy whoever that is interested, wants to learn more. And it's an easy way to get all of the information that you need just to get you started.
Right on. Okay. So you touched base on the CBD industry, and you also talked about you help other people achieve their bliss through your folded laundry service. But
yes.
How do you achieve bliss? Like, how do you and your husband and your kids, what do you guys do for fun? How do you balance all? Because you have a laundry business and the CBD business and a regular job, right?
Yeah, I shouldn't have that regular job for too much longer, though.
But how do you do it? Like, how do you balance all of that?
Well, like I said, the CBD helps because it gives me a lot more energy. So what I am able to accomplish after my kids go to sleep is huge, because I didn't used to have the time from 7:30, 8 o'clock until 10 or 11. There's been times I've been editing my book until midnight. My husband's like, how late were you up last night? And I was. So the CBD has helped because it's reduced pain. It's given both my husband and I a lot more energy. That allows us to be present with our kids and not like, can't wait to put them to sleep. We actually really engage with them. On our weekends, we spend a lot of time together. Our kids love the beach. So when the weather's good, we're digging in the sand at the beach. We have some friends that we spend some time with that we've been really enjoying getting to know. And then my husband and I, we try and go on date night. It doesn't happen as often as it should, but we do. We're in a building phase right now. So I'm focused on other people's bliss, probably a little bit more than I am my own, but I get a lot of fulfillment in the number of people that I have helped to feel good on a daily basis. Gives me so much satisfaction. It keeps me going. I love the results that I'm able to help people find. So right now, my husband and I, we're on the same page. We do a lot of tag teaming. We are in building phases. We do a lot of dreaming about where we're going next, but we are as aligned as it comes, which is so important when you're trying to build businesses, and having that alignment is wonderful. So sometimes it's just, sometimes we'll just kind of cuddle up together with a glass of wine for an hour before bed at 9 o'clock at night, and that's just what it is for now. But we couldn't be happier. And we love going to like the kids' birthday parties and stuff. We enjoy watching our kids have fun, and our kids are finally old enough that we can stand together and hold hands and chat with each other while watching the kids play at the park or at birthday parties and whatnot. So right now, it's little snippets.
Yeah, you know what I just heard? I don't know about you, Lisa, but what I just heard is she enjoys the little things in life, right? Like the little tiny moments of joy, actually being present with your kids. I'll share a secret with you that Stacy and I do, because we're both really hardcore entrepreneurs. We have the leadership business, we have our real estate business, and then we have 4 kids, right? And then there's travel aspects. So when it comes to date nights, there's a trick that we use, and we have it for 2 things. It's called date night in a box. So if you look it up, date night in a box, it comes to you and it's like this little tiny box, and it tells you exactly what to do to prepare for your date. And it could be at home, in home, because, especially when you have kids. So for couples out there that are like, I want to date, I want to be, having this connection with my spouse, but I have kids, I don't have enough money for a sitter, whatever it might be. you can do date night in a box at home. And they even have kids. They have some for kids, for activities for kids, so that you can, get real on full family engagement. It's pretty cool. And I don't get any kickbacks from this company at all.
Yeah.
It's just something that, works
I'll
for
have
us.
to check it out. It sounds exactly what we need, which is just snippets of time here and there, and evening after the kids go to bed. But my husband and I are very well connected, and we're very aligned, so it really helps in this space. And we talk about when we're done building, that things are moving, because you go through those shifts, that we talk about what we're going to be doing with our time then. And so we kind of dream about that right now together, of the trips we want to take, the stuff that we want to do, the how we want to be spending our time. We talk about those things now, knowing that it's this is a temporary phase of life, and we'll get there. So the number one thing is for me to quit my job, because I'm getting close.
Yeah. So. Right. And when you take that leap, then it becomes real.
Yep.
So it becomes real, right, Lisa?
Yep.
Yeah, I know what that feels like, that fear of, oh crap, I got to figure this out. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of things going on for your family and your businesses, Liz, and I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing with us about the differences.
It's wonderful. I really appreciate the chance to chat with you guys, and hopefully get the word out for other people to help improve their quality of life. And so thank you for the invitation. It's been a really enjoyable experience.
For sure.
It's been blissful.
For our listeners, we're going to get the link to anything related to Liz. We'll get the links in the show notes so that you have access to her. And make sure that everybody has the opportunity to reach out if they want more information, or if they want to get some product, or if they even want to get their laundry picked up and delivered.
San Diego, Temecula, and Murrieta.
There you go.
So, yeah, we can do that too.
Sorry, Lisa. Pretty soon we'll be out in Ohio, right?
No problem.
All
awesome.
right.
Well, have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much for your time. And
thank you.
Talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.